Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. Means we're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Hope your work week is off to a good start. I hope there are some of you that don't have to work. I just found out like 20 minutes ago it's President's Day. I was unaware, but a couple of my buddies are not working today. We are. So if you got your work week off to a good start, we appreciate you hanging out with us. If you're taking the day off, that's awesome too. Maybe head out to the box where LSU and Central Arkansas will play coming up in 1 hour. So that kind of dictates how we're going to work with things, because I know all your attention spans, and I know those of you that listen to this show, most of you care a lot about LSU. A lot of you care a lot about LSU baseball, and you may have your attention deviate from this show 1 hour from right now when they throw the first pitch. So we're going to talk a lot about baseball leading up to first pitch, and then once they start playing over at the box, we'll shift to some other things. LSU basketball got a big win on Saturday. We'll talk about that. Got some Saints free agent thoughts I want to get into. The NBA All-Star game is not good. We'll talk a little bit about that in hour number 2. We're going to structure our show today kind of based on LSU baseball and them playing. And look, say what you will about the early starts in the midweek in the month of February. I know there are a lot of people that are cranky about it, and I understand. A lot of us can't be at the box at 2 o'clock on a weekday. That's very difficult for a lot of people. But right now, it's like 63 and sunny, and tonight at 8 o'clock when they could be playing, it's going to be, knocking on the 40s. So it's more comfortable. It's better for the players. It's not better for the fans, but Jay Johnson's going to do what's best for his players 99 times out of 100. I would say 100 times out of 100. There could be a circumstance where you got to make a decision. This one is for the interest of LSU's team, and that's what they're going to do. So no use crying over that. We'll just talk about what has happened. And LSU has gotten off to a 3-0 start in this baseball season. On Friday, when we last left you, we were out at the box. They beat VMI 11-8. On Saturday, beat Central Arkansas 2-0. And then yesterday, beat VMI 27-5. Set a program record for hits in that game with 27 in 6 appearances at the plate. So it was a weekend that was largely good. Most of what you saw was good. And certainly at this point in the calendar, every single year, the Monday after that first weekend, we want to overreact to everything. Hurd stinks. Holman's got to be the ace. Milam's an All-American. It goes on. Like that's where most of the conversation wants to center. I'm going to talk about a few things, and in doing so, realize that it's 3 baseball games. You can't tell a heck of a lot. My general saying after opening weekend is, I know after an opening weekend what you can do. I don't know what you can't do. If you go 0 for 8 with 6 strikeouts on opening weekend, it doesn't mean you can't hit. If you make 2 errors on opening weekend, it doesn't mean you can't field. If you throw 97 miles an hour on your 50th pitch, that means you can do that, and I'll take something from it. If you take a fastball away and sting it the other way off the Intimidator, that means you can do that. I'm more prone to what you can do on opening weekend as opposed to what you can't. I've got 56 games to figure things out. LSU has played exactly 3 of them. So I think everyone is on the same page, but it was a good start. My biggest takeaway from the weekend, it was not Holman, it was not Milam, it wasn't even Gage Jump, and all of those I'm going to talk about. My good from the weekend, and the thing that stood out the most, was LSU's catchers were sensational for 3 games. And they're 3 guys that we've seen play a lot. 2 of them have been here for 4+ years. The other one was the starting catcher as a 17-year-old. Like, we know these guys. We know Hayden Travinski. We know Alex Milazzo. We know Brady Neal. But they were fabulous over the weekend. LSU's catchers threw out 6 of 8 base stealers. And VMI is not a very good baseball team. They're a functional baseball team, but they have a strength. They can run. They led the nation in steals last year, and 5 guys are back in that lineup that stole 25-plus bases. And Alex Milazzo was back there on Friday, and VMI tried to steal twice, and he gunned him down, and they shut the run game down. That was impressive to me. Over 2 games against VMI, the Keydets were 1 out of 6 attempting to steal. One game, Alex Milazzo started. The other game, Brady Neal started. Hayden Travinski was back there. All 3 of them threw a runner out. College baseball steal rates are very good because most of the time college catchers are not very good. LSU's got 3 guys who are dudes. Travinski went 7 of 11 at the dish. He got on base in 7 of his 15. Sorry, he got on base on 11 of his 15 plate appearances. He was 7 of 11 at the dish, 2 walks, 2 hit by pitches. He had a home run off the scoreboard on Friday and had 4 runs driven in on the weekend. He was the co-SEC player of the week, was Hayden Travinski. Brady Neal had a monster day at the plate yesterday. He had 2 doubles and a grand slam. And oh, by the way, Alex Milazzo, Mr. Defense, who can't hit his way out of a wet paper sack, 3 out of 4 at the dish over the weekend with 2 RBI, 2 runs scored, and we talked about how good he was throwing runners out at the plate. This is such a luxury for LSU to have. You have everything you could need at the catcher position. You've got veterans. You've got an elite defender in Alex Milazzo, a plus defender in Brady Neal, and a guy in Travinski that can play the position. He's done it. You've got big-time power with Travinski. Neal may grow into that. You've got left-handed hitting, Brady Neal, right-handed hitter, Hayden Travinski. You got a team that runs a ton, you can put Milazzo back there. You've got a really tough right-handed pitcher, you can put Neal back there. You've got a really tough lefty, you can put Travinski back there. And oh, by the way, if the circumstances change late in the game, meaning if you've got a tight lead and want to transition to defense and Travinski's the starter, you can put Milazzo in there. If Milazzo's your catcher and there's all of a sudden a really tough right-handed closer in the 7th inning, you can go to Neal and he can go the rest of the way. There's so much flexibility there with those 3 guys. I love that. And I thought LSU had a good catching situation, and now I kind of look at it and go, and this is something I talked about a lot with Travinski maybe being a star. And if he is, and I know what Milazzo is defensively, and Brady Neal was one of the top 5 catchers in the high school class last year. This is an elite catching group here. And when you think about Jay's first year, where Milazzo got hurt, and Travinski got hurt, and McManus kind of got hurt, but he still had to play anyway, like they were out of catchers. Didn't Drew Bianco go back there and catch at one point? It's a different group, no doubt about it. And that was the biggest takeaway for me over the weekend. LSU's catching situation is awesome. A second thing for me was Gage Jump. There was a lot of uncertainty surrounding Gage Jump. We don't get this with basketball and football because you're not allowed to go watch every second of every practice. But when the media is there at every second of every practice and the fans are there for most of practice, and you realize, well, all the other pitchers are pitching and Gage Jump's not out there. Like, that raises some questions, and AJ was asked about the questions, and by the hell, he's not going to tell you what's going on with the question. He said, we're getting the guys ready to go for the season. Everybody ramps up a little bit differently. He's going to be fine. And I told you on Thursday of last week, I said it wouldn't surprise me at all if we saw him start a game this weekend, saw him out of the bullpen this weekend, or didn't pitch for 2 weeks. None of that would have surprised me as of last week. Now we know he's capable of pitching in a game. I don't know if he's got 50 pitches in the holster right now. I don't know if he's starting a game next week. I don't know if he's going to be in LSU's rotation for the SEC opener. I don't know any of that stuff, but I know he went out there in a big spot on Friday, and he was throwing 96 miles an hour. 8 out of his 11 pitches were strikes. He was throwing 2 different breaking balls, 1 tighter slider, 1 loopier curveball. 3 up, 3 down, 2 strikeouts. It was awesome. I told y'all leading up to the season that I was told Gage Jump's the best pitcher on the team. Well, it looked that way on Friday. I don't know if he's physically limited in any way. I don't know why they decided to pitch him out of the bullpen in a big spot there. I don't know if he's pitching next week. There are a lot of variables there with Jump, but what's not is the stuff. It's awesome. And that was a huge, huge takeaway for me back on Friday. Luke Holman had big strikeout numbers. Saturday was a terrible, terrible, terrible day to hit at Alex Box Stadium. It was a great day to pitch at Alex Box Stadium. It was cold. The wind was blowing hard and in. Saw a lot of blankets in the stands. It was uncomfortable to play on Saturday. But that doesn't have anything to do with missing bats. 10 strikeouts in 5 1/3 is 10 strikeouts in 5 1/3. And we saw last time Luke Holman pitched in a college baseball game was in the Super Regional against Wake Forest. And his strikeout numbers were really good that day as well. Now, he gave up a couple of homers, hung some breaking balls. Wake's really good. They were really good then. They're really good now. But Holman he's a proven commodity in the SEC on the weekend. Again, I'll reiterate this. A lot of people say he's the Friday night guy for Alabama. That is true. He pitched on Friday nights in Alabama late in the season because Hess and Hitt got hurt. He was a midweek starter at the beginning of the season. I'm not trying to diminish Luke Holman's talent, but I'm just laying out the actual situation. Alabama's top 2 pitchers got hurt last year. And I talked a lot about Luke Holman leading up to the season saying, hey, I don't know if he's an ace, but he's a proven commodity, and if he's your number 2, if he's the guy you give the ball to against a 4 seed in the regional opener, if he's a guy, 2 games into Omaha that you need to give the ball in a spot to save your season, that's a guy I'm comfortable with. I think he can go out there and make pitches. And his fastball was good. His breaking ball was very good. I thought it was tight, sharp, and it was difficult to deal with. And at the end of the day, his line showed 5 1/3 innings, just 3 hits, no runs, just 1 walk and 10 strikeouts on 87 pitches in the cold. I thought Luke Holman did a very, very, very nice job in the game back on Friday. Or Saturday, sorry. So, yeah, again, a really, really good day to pitch, and he took advantage of that by throwing a ton of strikes, but missing bats I thought was impressive. I have no idea how good VMI or Central Arkansas are, so I'm not going to draw monster sweeping generalizations, but those were some of the high points for me over the weekend. I still got to talk about Stephen Milam. Still got to talk about Jake Brown, Cam Johnson, Thatcher Hurd. There's plenty more to chew on here over the next 30 minutes. We're going to get LSU's lineup for this game against Central Arkansas coming up at 2 o'clock. We'll talk about that later on in this hour as well. So we're off and running here on a Monday. We're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products, gcopnet.com for all your printing, scanning, copying needs. Our guy Trey Beal has got you covered over there at Gulf Coast Office Products. We'll take a time out, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the weekend that was out at Alex Box Stadium. You're listening to a Monday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
ESPN Bet is live in Louisiana and is the official sportsbook of ESPN. ESPN Bet is the only place to find daily exclusives and offers with your favorite ESPN personalities and shows. You can sign up today, and new users get $100 in bonus bets for making any sportsbook bet. I did this a couple of weeks ago, placed an Alabama moneyline bet in basketball. It hit at $100 free to play with during the Super Bowl. You can make that happen at ESPN Bet. Find all your favorite markets and bets, in-game wagers, cross-sport parlays, teasers, and all the props you can handle. That's ESPN Bet. You can download today. What a play. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. In partnership with LeBares Lake Charles. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
He's here. Anyone want a Coors Light?
Oh, shoot, I forgot to play the song. I got a guy who can fix this.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends April 30th, 2024.
IU Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $17,500 off new 23 1500 Bighorn trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $17,500 off new Ram 1500 trucks. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 9.
On Tuesday's OTB. We'll recap a little LSU baseball, plus Coach Kim Mulkey stops by to talk basketball. We'll look forward to the Pelicans' final push and a brand new OTB mailbag. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. LSU and Central Arkansas coming up in 45 minutes. We'll get you ready for that one. Coming up here in the next segment, I'll get you the lineup and kind of some things I'm looking to see today. But I did want to keep going back to last weekend and kind of things that I saw that stood out. And certainly the performance of Stephen Milam was impressive. Milam was not in the lineup on opening day, but did get his shot in the second game of the weekend and got a hit and drew a couple of walks. So Jay decided on Sunday to put him in the leadoff spot, and the freshman responded by going 4 for 6. He drove in 3 runs, scored 4 times, and was really, really good offensively all weekend long. Obviously, you add those 2 performances up, and you get a 5 for 7 go on the weekend with 4 driven in and a double. Milam had a really bad fall. He did not hit. He was bad on defense. I was disappointed when LSU was out there in the fall and I was watching. I was like, man, he just doesn't look comfortable anywhere. They were putting him in second base. He was kicking around a little bit. He was having trouble getting to fastballs, and it just, he's a toolsy player. We talked about him a lot entering the draft because he was a guy that I thought was a key piece to this class and getting him to campus, especially when you realize that Jordan Thompson was going to decide to move on and LSU was going to be without both of its returning middle infielders in Gavin Dugas and Jordan Thompson. I was like, this is a kid that maybe could play. Let's see what he's got. And it just wasn't very good. And Jay's talked about that. But he's not the first guy to show up and have a bad fall. Famously, Mikey Matuk had an awful first fall. And by the time LSU got to win the College World Series, he was getting the biggest hit of the season in Game 1 of that final against Texas. So I'm not trying to lump national championship and SEC Player of the Year aspirations onto Stephen Milam here, but I'm just telling you that sometimes freshmen show up and they're just not ready. It's hard to hit against a bunch of guys that are throwing 95, 97 miles an hour. And he had trouble with it. And certainly over the weekend, these guys were not throwing 95, 97 miles per hour, and Milam looked very good. He's always been a very toolsy player, and if Stephen Milam were 6'2", he would not be at LSU. But he's 5'7", so he is. And I'm excited about his prospects. I don't think that he's cemented himself as the second baseman this year. I don't think he's cemented himself as the leadoff man. I think he had a really good first weekend. And I think he showed a real ability to hit from both sides of the plate, hit the ball to all fields from both sides of the plate, and all that was very impressive. You understand this kind of prototypical second baseman who's undersized and has a small strike zone and is scrappy at the dish and can make the plays defensively. He checks a lot of boxes of a lot of classic second basemen that you would go back and look at. And there's a reason why I said in one of my bold predictions on Thursday of last week that Josh Pearson would start more in the outfield than he did in the infield. and I thought there was a chance that Stephen Milam could win this spot. I put that in one of the 4 plausible reasons why Pearson might play more in the outfield than the infield. So I'm excited to see what Stephen Milam's got, and he adds a switch hitting bat that they can definitely use at second base, and I'm hopeful that that's something you can look at moving forward. Another freshman who I thought had a really nice first weekend was Jake Brown. We've heard how much this staff thinks of him, and Brown over the weekend went 4 out of 6. 4 out of 6 on the weekend, scored 3 runs. It was singles, but they were hard singles, and he showed the ability to hit the ball to left field and to right field. There's a lot of talent in Jake Brown. He's a really, really good athlete, and I'm excited to see maybe what those two guys can do. You had so much returning depth on last year's offense. When you go around the horn and you think about having Milazzo and Travinsky and having Beloso and having Dugas and having Thompson and Tommy White, and you had Pearson coming back off of as a sophomore, and you had obviously Cruz, and there were so many Joe Bear, so many returning guys. It was tough to crack in as a freshman. Now Kling and Neal and Jones did at times, but eventually, due to injury or lack of performance, lost their playing time to older players. This team, there's a few more ways to get to the field, and those two guys really made, I thought, a really impressive impact in their first weekend as college players. Okay, on to Thatcher Hurd and Cam Johnson before we get to today's game. Thatcher Hurd's line is bad. You look at a Friday night starter going out there in the opener. He doesn't get out of the third inning, 2 2/3, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, and a walk on 61 pitches. The line's bad. Did I think Thatcher Hurd was bad? No. I didn't think he was especially sharp. I thought he tap danced around a little trouble early, but that the first 2 innings were pretty clean. And then you get to the third inning and you give up a hit, and then you have the balk and you give up the singles. 3 of those were legit rope rockets, and one of them was a flare down the right field line that I didn't think was a terrible pitch, and the guy got the end of the bat on it and spun it down the right field line. He's got to be better than he was, but it's early, and I'm not going to go nuts over one outing. In this situation, though, there are going to be some other options to pitch weekend openers, and Hurd's going to have to earn that. I think the big test, obviously, for whoever it is going to be a week from this coming Friday when LSU goes to Houston and plays Texas. And if Thatcher Hurd gets that opportunity, that's going to be a huge spot for him to lock things down. He's got some goodwill banked up with his performances last year, but you've got to go out there and repeat it. And look, the stuff's still really good. Fastball was up to 97 early. It's settled in 94, 95, where I think it's going to be most of the time. And he's still got a really good breaking ball, and he did get 4 strikeouts out of the 8 outs he recorded. But he was leaving pitches out over the middle of the plate. He was getting behind hitters and gave up some hard contact. It was not a great outing for Thatcher Hurd, but he'll have another opportunity this coming weekend and needs to do a good job in that one. And Cam Johnson. I'm not Nate Yeske. I'm not a pitching coach. The next person I instruct in terms of their pitching will be the first. I'm not trying to be some sort of baseball savant here. But I was watching, and Ben McDonald said it on the telecast, so I feel like, and he does know, the mechanics looked off for Cam Johnson. His front side was flying out. His right shoulder, which is his lead shoulder as a left-handed pitcher, was flying towards third base, and he was opening up, and he was just missing the strike zone, not by like a couple inches, by feet. I mean, he was nowhere near the strike zone. And I don't know if that's the way he looks normally in bullpens. I don't know if that was something that was just a little out of whack on Sunday. Like, I don't know why it looked like that, but it did, and the command was awful. Obviously, he got 3 outs, although he had a bunch of walks, and then he went out there and walked the bases loaded in the next inning and didn't get an out. So it reads 1 inning, 6 outs. It was actually an inning plus, but the command was just bad. Now, the good news is he was still throwing 95 miles an hour, and he still spun a couple breaking balls in there, and you see the raw tools. But he was out of whack, and it may have been nerves, it may have been mechanics, it may have been a combination of both, it may have been a little bit chilly out. Like, I don't know, but it just wasn't good. And this is the beauty of the situation that LSU's in right now, and I talked about this a lot when I was talking about Cam Johnson preseason. You get a 6'5", 245-pound fireballing left-handed pitcher on campus, like that's pretty rare. And most teams, if they got that guy to campus, would say, you need to help us now. Here's the Saturday start. You're the closer. And that's a big spot. LSU, with the depth on this pitching staff, can go, all right, Cam, we're up 20. All right, your turn. And there will be more opportunities where LSU's up 8, 9, 10 runs over the next 3 weeks. There just will be, to get him back on the mound. And I think it is absolutely necessary to get him back on the mound, assuming that you don't have him throw another bullpen in 2 days and he can't find the strike zone then. And then at that point, you can't get him out there. You got to get something right in practice. But if this was just a one-off and just a nervous guy who kind of lost his feel and then got even more nervous and the day got away from him, well, then you get him back on the horse in a low leverage spot, and that's great. But LSU's got the luxury to do that. They've got the luxury to use him in low leverage spots because they've got a ton of depth and guys that can get big outs. I mean, I certainly didn't have Sam Dutton getting the biggest outs of the weekend on my bingo card. He's the guy they went to late in the game on Friday to get outs. They took Guidry out to put Dutton in. And he got big outs again in a 2-0 game on Saturday. I had no idea that was going to be the case, but that's another guy that obviously Jay Johnson has comfort with in a big spot. So there's like 10 of those. So Cam, you're really talented. We think a lot of you. We think you're going to be a huge piece to this team and this program. We'll get you back out there in another blowout. I'd been more concerned if Cam Johnson was throwing 87 miles an hour than if he couldn't throw it over the plate. He just had a day where he couldn't throw it over the plate, and they're going to continue to work with him, continue to fine-tune those mechanics. It's the talent that comes through that you see with Cam Johnson. I'll tell you this. If Cam Johnson at 6'5", 240 could dot up every pitch on command and had a nasty breaking ball and was throwing 97 miles an hour to showcase, he would not be here. 97 with A+ command and outstanding breaking ball goes in the first 10 picks of the draft. Obviously, he's got some things to work on, but he's got immense talent to work on them with. So, disappointing first outing for Cam? Sure. And Jay said in the postgame when Cam came out, he said, look, that's about as bad as it could go, right? And he said, yeah. He goes, they scored 1 run. That's how good you are. You had nothing, and they scored 1 run. So, disappointing part of the weekend for sure, and I think anybody involved would say that, but it's not that big a deal. You just got to get him back out there in another spot and hope that he continues to build on it. And you have the luxury of doing that with this deep and talented pitching staff. So that's kind of a run through most of what I saw this weekend. Let's see. I'm looking at my notes there. Yeah, I kind of got to just about everything. There was certainly more that we could talk about. I thought Bingham swung the bat very well. Tommy White left a village of runners on base on Friday and Sunday. You obviously set program record on tied a program record with 27 hits and scored the 27 runs in only 6 innings of offense. So there were other storylines to look at. But big picture, it's 3 games. You're off to a nice start, certainly a better start than Vanderbilt or Arkansas or Florida got off to. They all dropped a game this weekend, as did Mississippi State. So it's good that LSU got 3 wins, and now they're back at it coming up here in 30 minutes from Alec Box Stadium. I'm going to assume, although I have not looked at Twitter, I'm going to assume that the lineup is posted, and assuming that's the case, we'll talk about that and get you ready for LSU in Central Arkansas later today, coming up in this next segment. It's a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electric. Love our friends over at Boudreaux's Electric. Saw the family out there at the box on Friday, as I mentioned. Neil and Melissa have run the show for 40 years. Their son has stepped in and is doing a great job for them as well. Protect yourself from these power outages. Protect yourself from them. The peace of mind that a Generac generator can give you is so valuable. And it's just $5.90 a day for the life of that Generac generator to make sure that if it's a hurricane, if it's one of those nasty afternoon summer showers, if it's an ice storm in January like we had, that you're protected at home with that Generac generator. And Boudreaux's Electric can monitor your generator 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if the equipment does fail, whether it needs to come on at that moment or not, they can have somebody sent out there to make sure that repair is made and that your home is running efficiently. It's Boudreaux's Electric. You can give them a call, 225-300-9389, 225-300-9389. That's our friends at Boudreaux's Electric.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Join MMR and ignite your career today. MMR is the largest electrical and instrumentation contractor in the nation, and they're seeking talented individuals to join their team. For over 3 decades, they've been headquartered right here in Baton Rouge, and they have offices all around the globe.
And MMR offers a tailored path for both professional and personal development, outstanding benefits, and a dynamic culture. So whether you're an intern, a seasoned pro, or you're just starting out, see what MMR can offer you. Apply at mmrgrp.com.
Bayou Ford has new 23 Ford F-150 STX trucks for only $39,995. $39,995 plus 1.9% financing for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $17,500 off new 23 1500 Bitcoin trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $17,500 off new Ram 1500 trucks. All new Bayou vehicles.
On Tuesday's OTB, we'll recap a little LSU baseball, plus Coach Kim Mulkey stops by to talk basketball. We'll look forward to the Pelicans' final push and a brand new OTB mailbag. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Lineups are out for LSU and Central Arkansas. First pitch about 30 minutes from right now over there at Alec Box Stadium, Skip Bertman Field. So let's go through it here briefly. Stephen Milam, after yesterday's performance in the leadoff spot, will get another crack at it. He will play second base and hit first. They'll insert Tommy Tanks in there at third base in the 2-hole. Hayden Travinsky, the co-SEC Player of the Week, is the designated hitter. Brady Neal will hit cleanup and catch. Jared Jones over at first base in the 5-hole. Josh Pearson will start in right field today. He'll bat 6th. Mac Bingham is in left. He will bat 7th. Jake Brown's going to move over and play center field today. So the true freshman will man center field and bat 8th. And in the 9-hole, shortstop Michael Braswell. And Cade Anderson will do the pitching. First things first on Cade Anderson. This is a very, very talented left-handed pitching freshman that I have not seen pitch yet. I went out to a lot of fall scrimmages, a lot of spring scrimmages, and I never saw Cade Anderson. Just one of those deals where it just never worked out. I can tell you that he's 6'2" and 180 pounds. I can tell you he went to St. Paul's High School. And that his stats at St. Paul's were pretty good. He was 28-1 with a .22 ERA, and he had 212 strikeouts at St. Paul's. So a solid high school career. I'm excited to watch him pitch a little bit against Central Arkansas. This is a guy that the LSU coaching staff believes will eventually become a weekend starter at LSU. He and Jake Brown were the top 2 left-handed pitching prospects in the state of Louisiana. LSU got them both to campus. Brown's now playing center field and hitting, sometimes in the 2-hole. And now Cade Anderson gets his chance to start. I'm told the fastball is north of 90 miles an hour, and I'm told he's got a really, really good breaking ball. I just can't tell you that I've seen it. So today will be my first look at Cade Anderson. No idea how far he may be extended in this game. You look at the box score from yesterday, and Javid Coleman would not be available today. Cam Johnson would not be available today, and I doubt they would put Helmers or Woods or Moffitt back out there. But those are the guys that pitched yesterday. So for LSU, I think probably sit Griffin Herring. Maybe Fidel Ulloa could give you a little bit today. DJ Primo certainly could. Sam Dutton's already pitched twice. He's probably down. Ackenhausen went 60 pitches on Friday, so he's probably not good to go. But you would see Gavin Guidry today, and Justin Lohr could pitch today for sure, and as well as Gage Jump. Those guys should be ready to go. I don't know what Jump's status is, but we're on the mound. LSU's got plenty of guys to get them through 7 or 9 innings today. As far as the offense goes, more of that versatility at catcher, and this is what I'm saying. Like you start Neal at catcher, and you've got Travinsky as the DH, so you've got those 2 bats in there. And theoretically, if you wanted to go with some defense late in the game, you could go to Alex Milazzo, who kind of gets the day off, and you keep those guys fresh. They don't spend as much time catching. And if you've got like a Saturday night game and a Sunday afternoon game, you can have somebody catch that game and then take the day off the next day. It's just such a luxury that LSU has as far as the catching position goes, and that was my biggest takeaway from the weekend. I think as far as guys getting comfortable in places in the order, we're a long way from that. He likes what he sees with Milam at the top. He's definitely going to keep Tommy White in the 2 or 3 spot, and Travinsky will be right there around that 3 or 4 or 5, you would think. And I think what you're seeing with Brady Neal and where he's hit the last 2 days in the cleanup spot, they think he can be an offensive force. This is a guy last year that hit 200. Now, we tell you the same thing all the time when you talk about Brady Neal because the sample size was pretty small last year, so the 2 highlights are very, very obvious. He homered off the best left-handed pitcher in the conference in Hagen Smith, and he hovered off some of the best stuff in college baseball in Chase Burns. Now, Burns lost his spot in the rotation and ended up being a bullpen guy, and now he's at Wake Forest in the weekend rotation. But homering off those 2 guys is no small thing. But the overall body of work offensively was not great for Brady Neal last year, and honestly, he was not able to do much in the summer. He went to the Cape for a week and started getting hurt again, so he came back and then didn't participate a ton in the fall. He was limited in what he can do, and it's just really hard to improve and put the necessary work in when your back hurts. Like, it's just a tough deal. But they've kind of ramped him up, and they've liked what they've seen. And as I'm talking about with this rotation for the catchers, he doesn't have to catch 3 times a week. He can catch once or twice a week, but they want his bat in there. So he's going to catch today. And I'm impressed with the confidence that Jay Johnson is showing in him to put him in the 4 spot. I mean, how easy would it be to put Jared Jones in the 4-hole, to put Josh Pearson in the 4-hole? The way Jake Brown swung the bat, put him in the 4-hole. Mac Bingham was great all weekend offensively. And they feel like Neal is the guy to be right there behind Tommy White and Hayden Travinsky. I think that says a lot about what the upside is of his offensive game. Michael Braswell is worth talking about a little bit here. He's going to hit in the 9-hole. I sung his praises big time back on Thursday and on Friday. My bold prediction for him was that he would have as many extra base hits at LSU as he did in 2 years at South Carolina. He had 1 over the weekend, but it wasn't a loud offensive weekend for Michael Braswell. He started in the leadoff spot on Monday. He's in the 9 hole as of today, but I still think that Michael Braswell is a positive piece to this team offensively. I think he's going to be solid, and the question is, will the heavy lifting guys do that on the front end? And right now, you kind of like where you sit with Stephen Milam and obviously with Tommy White and Travinsky and what Neal could be, and then hopefully Jones, who homered twice over the weekend, one just a mammoth blast on Friday and the other one in a bitter cold down the right field line, which showed how strong he was. But you feel like Pearson is going to be a guy that's going to hit. And then Bingham, I thought, was really impressive all weekend. When all was settled, he was 4 for 9, which is a 444 clip, drove in 3 runs and had an extra base hit, which is a big RBI hit back on Friday. I think Bingham's a proven commodity at the college level. He's going to be very, very good. The guy that gets the day off today is Paxton Kling. Kling, a little bit of a bumpy opening weekend, just 2 of 11. That's a guy that LSU really needs to be a dude, and I thought he got off to a really nice start in Friday's game, got a big hit in that game down the left field line. Let's see, what was his line on Friday? You can see here, Kling was, that was his only hit on Friday, but it was a 2 RBI hit. And he scored a run in that game. So he'll get a day off, and I think they've got a lot of guys they want to get at bats, and they're going to do so. They've got a lot of games to play for this weekend. Then you got a Thursday through Sunday coming up. Then you got a midweek game at Rice the following weekend, and then you'll go to Houston, where the lights will be as bright as they will be in the non-conference for that weekend against Texas, and then Louisiana Lafayette. And then you come back for Xavier, and it's time for conference play. I can tell you this, by the time they get to that Xavier weekend, I'm going to be chomping at the bit. Every year it's the exact same thing. The excitement of the season hits you early, and we're right there in the middle of that for sure. And then you've got usually one big-time non-conference, whether it's the Round Rock tournament or the Houston tournament. And then you come back for that last non-conference weekend, and that one can be a bit of a drag. Because it's Xavier, and like, what do they got? And like, oh my God, can we go to Starkville, please? And then you know that monster stretch of 4 weekends with Arkansas and Tennessee and Florida and Vanderbilt's coming up, and you want to get to that, and then you got to deal with Xavier. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But LSU and Central Arkansas will play today at 2 o'clock, coming up in 20 minutes. Central Arkansas is going to start a right-handed pitcher who has made 1 appearance over the weekend. So LSU will get a look at him. I don't know, like I said in the last segment, just how good Central Arkansas or VMI are. VMI returns a lot from what was a really good offense last year, not a great team. I think you saw when they got to the end of their pitching staff for their 4th game in 3 days. Yesterday, LSU started setting records. I don't anticipate that to happen with Central Arkansas, but I think LSU will be in good shape today. Really, the story for today is what does Cade Anderson give you from the left side. I'm excited to see the kid. So pregame's already fired up over on Eagle 98.1 if you want to catch that with Chris Blair. Probably, and Doug Thompson, even though I can't swear to it. Maybe Dougie's got work and Buzzy's over there. We'll see, but the game will be on Eagle 98.1, and we're going to kind of transition out of baseball here in this first hour as we get into hour number 2. We still got to talk about LSU's big basketball win over the weekend. Still got to talk a little Saints and some free agency. So plenty to get to here on this Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com, GCOPnet.com. All your printing, copy, and scanning needs. All businesses need printers and copies and scanners, but not all need the same exact one. You don't want to just go and grab the first one you see. Trey Beal and his team over at Gulf Coast Office Products understand what your needs are, whether you're in the healthcare sector, whether you're in banking, whether you're like us and you're a radio broadcast media group, maybe you're a law firm. You all need different types of things, and Trey deals with people in every single vertical industry, and he understands what the needs are. So if you're your next copier and printer leasing, go to Gulf Coast Office Products and let them customize a solution for you. It's GCOPnet.com, GCOPnet.com. You can go there, check out the inventory. I checked out their inventory here in Baton Rouge just a couple weeks ago. They got over $1 million ready to go out the warehouse door. Trey Beal and his team got you covered over there at Gulf Coast Office Products. They bring you our Monday shows each and every week. We'll take a time out, come back, and close it. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Bayou Ford has new 23 Ford F-150 STX trucks for only $39,995. $39,995 plus 1.9% financing for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
On Tuesday's OTB, we'll recap a little LSU baseball, plus Coach Kim Mulkey stops by to talk basketball. We'll look forward to the Pelicans' final push and a brand new OTB mailbag. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This February, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Citizens Bank and Trust are here to offer you a holiday rebate to the tune of a $1,000 cash prize to help out. Signing up is as simple as heading to 1045ESPN.com. It's our annual holiday rebate gift to you from Citizens Bank and Trust and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You know, I know a lot of you are big-time LSU football recruiting fans. It's a varying degrees thing. I think everybody is invested in the wins and losses on Saturdays in the fall. Some people live, eat, breathe, sleep recruiting. Some people show me when the ink dries. Some people, I don't want to care about that at all. Just show me who's there on Saturday. But anyway, like, you know that LSU in this next signing cycle in 2025 has commitments from the number 1 quarterback, Bryce Underwood, the number 1 running back from right down the road in New Orleans, in Harlem Berry, And then you got DeCorian Moore, the number one wide receiver in the country. I think everyone who follows LSU with any modicum of sincerity knows that those three guys are committed to LSU and they're the top player at each position. But LSU's looking to add to that from out of state. And if you follow along on 3, Chad Simmons, who's their national director of recruiting, moved his recruiting prediction machine pick for the number one interior offensive lineman in the nation from Auburn to LSU. Micah DeBose, who was once committed to committed to Georgia from Mobile, has visited LSU, has struck up a relationship with Brad Davis, and it feels like a lot of people within the industry think that DeBose could end up at LSU. This is becoming a star-studded class. And I've talked a lot about the profile that Brian Kelly likes to recruit to on the offensive line. And DeBose doesn't necessarily fit it perfectly. The profile that we've seen from his time at Notre Dame and his time early on at LSU is the long, lean frames that are good athletes, and you fill them out. Will Campbell fits that mold for sure. Emory Jones fits that mold for sure. Those guys have put on weight since they've gotten to LSU, but they're not 335, 340-pound high schoolers. DeBose is. He's 6'4", 340 pounds out of the city of Mobile, but rated as a 4-star recruit across the board, was committed to Georgia. Auburn's very interested, and now LSU's in the mix. He's a top 100 prospect by every site. And on 3 says he's the number one interior offensive lineman in the class, which one is really important. And then the other piece to this is he's the number 2 player in the state of Alabama. And look, I don't know if Micah DeBose ever had any interest in going to Alabama when Nick Saban was there. I have no idea. I know he committed to Georgia, so I couldn't tell you. But LSU has not gone into Alabama and gotten very, very highly sought-after players. Yes, Josh Williford was a good guard at LSU they got from the state of Alabama. Yes, Quan Alexander became an excellent player, but his high school injury concerns scared some teams off, and LSU was able to go in there and steal one late. But by and large, the state of Alabama has kind of been off limits for LSU. They've done well in Mississippi. They've done fantastically in Texas, always done well in Florida as well, and Georgia has been a bit of a honey hole for LSU as well. State of Alabama has kind of been off limits, and I'm curious if that changes. Does Kalen DeBoer have the ability to lock down that state? We know Hugh Freeze is a good recruiter, and they'll get their guys, and they're really trying to get Micah DeBose. And I know that Mobile is way far away from those two schools. It's a long way from Mobile to Tuscaloosa, relatively speaking. Certainly a long way from Mobile to Auburn. But that's a powerful state, and Alabama and Auburn have done very, very well in there. And I'm just curious if maybe that's another place that LSU might be able to tap into. Either way, big-time offensive line prospects are going to be looking at LSU because of the monster that Brad Davis is building. And there's something to this recruiting snowball. You get Bryce Underwood in the boat. You get Harlem Berry in the boat. You get DeCorian Moore in the boat. And all of a sudden, guys start looking around going, damn, LSU's got some dudes in this class. I'd like to play with that. Doesn't always work out, but this is some juice. And you consider that Underwood's from across the country in Michigan. DeCorian Moore's from Texas. Micah DeBose, this is not like getting Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, Jeremy Hill, Kenny Hilliard, Lale Collins, Freak Johnson, all from the same state. It's not like getting Leonard Fournette and Malachi Dupree, all from the same state. This is going out nationally and casting a bit of a net, and LSU's got a brand that's able to do that. And I want to start in the state, and LSU's going to get 9 of the top 10 in the state this year. But you also kind of got to go out as well. And this looks to be like a monster of a class that Brian Kelly and his staff are putting together. And that shouldn't come as a huge surprise because everybody that he's got on this staff is regarded as a high-level recruiter. And I go back to that Kirby Smart quote all the time. It's players, not plays. Players, not plays. You draw them up as good as you can draw them up. If you don't have the dudes to go do it, you're going to get beat. LSU over the last 25 years has been able to go get the dudes. Hopefully, Micah DeBose is the next dude in that line to go with a class that's looking to be as good as one that we've seen at LSU. It's early. And we know what happens when players get to campus at times. Classes can fall apart. Look over at College Station. But it's a good place to start. Mikey DeBose looks to be interested at LSU, and a lot of the folks in the recruiting industry are starting to think that maybe a trajectory headed towards Baton Rouge would be another player ranked first at his position in LSU's recruiting class of 2025. Very, very cool. Let's close up hour number 1 here. LSU and Central Arkansas are going to get underway in 5 minutes. We will keep you posted on the ongoings there, so we appreciate it if you stick with us. We have a lot of other things to talk about. LSU basketball got a huge win on Saturday. I said I needed them to get one. They got it against South Carolina on Saturday. Big offseason upcoming for the Saints. I've got some thoughts on some of their free agents, so we'll get to some of those things in hour number 2. If you missed any of it, hour number 1, want to hear some baseball talk, you can always catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Wherever you find your podcast, you can find our sound. Search Hunt Palmer Show, and you will find it. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. Looking for LSU football, Hunt on LSU. This recruiting segment will be posted up there a little bit later. Looking for some Saints news. You get that in hour number 2, but you can also find it at Hunt on Saints, and we appreciate it if you subscribe up to those 2 channels. Let's take a time out for Sports Center. First pitch will crank up over at the box. We'll come back and talk a little college hoops. LSU beats South Carolina. That's next on a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Less than a week after a 50-point loss against the Celtics in their final game before the NBA All-Star break, the Nuts fired coach Jacques Vaughn. Brooklyn's 21-33, 11th in the East, 2.5 games out of the final play-in spot. First Take host Stephen A. Smith.
You lose 18-24. You just lost to Boston by 50. That spells doom, no doubt about it. It's just sad. I mean, I understand why they did what they had to do because of the momentum and the trajectory of the franchise right now. But I wish that Jacques Vaughn had been in a better situation.
Timberwolves and guard Mike Conley agreed on a 2-year, $21 million extension, keeping him in their backcourt through the 2025-2026 season. Star Mike Trout, on the first full day of full squad workouts around Major League Baseball, reaffirmed his commitment to the Angels, said the easy way would be to ask for a trade, added there may be a time perhaps down the road, but he hasn't thought about it. Trout's got a full no-trade clause in his Angels deal, which runs through 2030. NHL on ESPN, Maple Leafs and Blues tied at 1, early third period.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Tuesday, I'll tell you the 5 players who are destined to be franchise tagged. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Hunt Palmer Show on a Monday, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com. For all your printer, copier, scanner needs, they got you covered over at Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy, Trey Buell. We'll talk Saints here in 15 minutes. I got 2 guys that I think the Saints need to very, very much prioritize from their roster as far as free agents go, and I've got 2 guys that I think have played their last down with the New Orleans Saints. We'll talk about that coming up here in hour number 2. But we'll start hour number 2 with LSU men's basketball. They get a 64-63 win over South Carolina. I didn't see that one coming. I didn't see it coming on Friday, and I didn't see it coming when they were down 20. And they just continue to fall behind in a big, big way. And they continue to try to climb out of a hole. I would venture to say they'd have some more success if they just wouldn't get down by 20 points. But they seem to insist on it. I think the biggest deficit in the second half was 16. That was right out of the chute. South Carolina came out and scored the first 9 of the second half, and that put the lead up to 16. But it was still 10 with 8 minutes and 15 seconds to go in the game. And somehow LSU just continues to chip away and chip away and chip away, and they got themselves into another tight game. And look, it was a huge 3 that Tyrell Ward hit with a minute 24 to go to tie it, and then Matt comes back down and drills that huge 3, and you're probably thinking at that point, 55 seconds to go, that's not going to be great. But Jordan Wright goes to the rim, gets an and 1 to tie it. Then South Carolina comes back down and hits a back-breaking 3 with 29 seconds to go. LSU, as they did not do in the previous game on the road at Florida, they did not panic. They went to the rim. Jordan Wright got right to the bucket. The telecast said that South Carolina's bench was calling for them to give a foul because they had a couple to give. They did not. Jordan Wright got right to the rim and laid it up with 17 seconds to go, didn't force it, and try to make a three. Then LSU gets a stop that they desperately need. They flatten things out for Jordan Wright, which is kind of what they've decided they want to do late in games now. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but in this situation, it did work. He got to the rim, got the obvious contact, and then calmly knocked down 2 free throws. At that point, LSU leads with 5 seconds to go, and the telecast did a great job of illustrating it, but I was certainly saying it sitting there on my couch. Like, you've got 4 fouls to give. The second a South Carolina player puts the ball on the floor, you will foul. I mean, you have to do that, and South Carolina inbounds it. I mean, you can't immediately give because they can get you into a shooting foul. They can bait you into it. But if they go to put the ball on the floor, at that point they can't shoot. You've got to give. And Tyrell Ward did give that foul there, but then they inbounded it and got it to a situation where they were able to inbound near the three-point line on their own side of the floor. And at that point, fouling became a little bit more difficult, so you had to play straight up. I thought Tyrell Ward did a really good job of contesting the three to the point that they weren't going to be able to draw a foul. You don't want to play with fire there and foul a three-point shooter and put him on the line. You do want to contest, and he's a very good athlete, and he's 6'6", and he was able to jump and contest while not in any jeopardy at all of giving a foul. And the shot, thankfully, rims out, and LSU got the win. Again, I'd like not to fall behind by 16, which seems routine for this team, but the other piece that's routine is they don't quit and they fight back. And 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago, it was in Knoxville, I came on and I was complaining because, like, I don't want to give moral victory speeches with LSU sports. Like, I think LSU as an athletic brand and program is above moral victory talking points. I don't want to say, man, they tried really hard. Like, that's not where I want to be. Last year, maybe sometimes when you've lost 16 games in a row and you're playing till the end, like, maybe you get some kudos there. And that's a different circumstance because the roster got gutted and we all know the story. But this year's team, like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to say, man, they got down 20, but they fought real hard and yeah, they lost by 16, but yeah, way to fight, guys. They showed some toughness. Like, who cares? Win. And that's hard to do in the SEC because it's a league full of really good basketball teams. But this time I can say that LSU did fight and did scrap because they got there and they made the plays and they won. And after the Florida game, the talking point was like, well, they blew out A&M, they blew out Vanderbilt, they blew out Ole Miss. Like, they've won some games, but they're not winning close games. They've had really tight games with Florida and with Georgia and with Texas A&M in Baton Rouge, and they haven't gotten over the hump. You got to win. It's a zero-sum game. You don't get credit for playing a close loss. And they just needed to get one of these 5, and they got it. And now they've got kind of almost, it's not a freebie because they're not really in position to play for anything, but, like, you've got a real chance to post a respectable SEC record. And if you've watched Vanderbilt play, if you've watched Missouri play, like, LSU's got real chances in those games. But they had to find a way not to lose all 5 of this meat grinder of at Bama and at Tennessee, Bama at home and at Tennessee and at Florida, at South Carolina, Kentucky home. You had to find a way to get one of them, and they did. And I think as I look at the style of game that this was on Saturday, it was a slower game. That's what South Carolina wants to do. They're better on defense. They run the clock on offense. They play a slower game. And I think LSU, while they're not as good as South Carolina and they don't have a strength like South Carolina's defense and decision-making, really. That's what South Carolina's best at. They don't turn it over very much. They play really good defense, and they've won some close games. LSU doesn't have a strength it can lean on quite like that, but LSU is pretty good on offense. And you found a spot where South Carolina wasn't great on offense for a stretch there in the second half, and they couldn't run away from LSU. Bama can run away from you. Auburn can run away from you. Tennessee can run away from you. Even Florida can run away from you, and Kentucky on Wednesday can run away from you. South Carolina's not really built like that. So even though they got that lead, they weren't able to put LSU away, and I think LSU maybe matches up better against teams that lean on their defense. A&M leans on their defense in rebounding, and LSU took it to them in College Station and played them to the buzzer in Baton Rouge. that may be a little bit of a better matchup for LSU. And maybe that bodes well for Mississippi State coming up because that's a very much a defensive team. That was something that kind of struck me in watching the game, that LSU's talented enough on offense that if you want to drag it into a game that's played in the low 60s, they're probably going to get there. You're probably not going to hold LSU to 58. And they were able to get over the hump and win that game. Huge, huge win for LSU. Just looking at the box score, nothing jumps out. Like, it was a pretty evenly played game. LSU was 25 of 58 from the floor, and South Carolina was 26 of 62. Both teams shot 42, 43%. The three-point line was kind of a wash. South Carolina made 6 of them. LSU made 5 of them. Free throw line was not a huge factor. South Carolina 5 of 6, LSU 9 of 14. Neither team turned it over a lot. LSU had 10, South Carolina had 9.
The thing that jumps out to me, though, is you look at these last few games that LSU's lost. They got dominated on the offensive glass.
Yes.
And then this game, they won the offensive rebound battle. They won the overall rebound battle, but South Carolina only had 9 offensive rebounds. To me, that probably was the difference in the game because other than that, both teams were pretty bad offensively.
Yeah, and that's the way South Carolina wants it. They want an ugly rock fight of a game. Like, they will that's how they want to play. And they're good at it. Like, they've had huge wins. They went to Knoxville and won, and then came back home, and they're legitimate. I mean, they're a good team. Are they going to go to the Final Four? I don't think so. Are they a powerful brand? No, they're not. And so that makes it easy to look at them as ranked number 11 in the country and say, oh, well, they're not really that good. Let's see LSU beat them. I don't think they're the 11th best teams in the country. I think they're in the top 25. They're one of the 25 best teams in college basketball. I'm comfortable saying that. And that's a really nice win for LSU to go on the road and get that one. I thought six years ago, 100% my talking point from this game would have been Tyrell Ward, 16 points, 6 of 8 shooting, knocks down 3 threes, including a huge one inside 2 minutes to play. Fantastic effort by the sophomore. Jalen Reed comes off the bench, goes 6 of 9, knocked down the one wide open 3 he had. He gave you 13 points and 4 rebounds in 22 minutes. These are foundational pieces that are sophomores that are growing up and becoming better players, and they're going to be pieces as this program builds. Like, that would have been my talking point. But the fact of the matter is that I can't sit in this chair right now and give you any degree of certainty that either one of those guys is going to be on the team next year. Like, I can't. I hope, but I can't. So I can't make that point. You can only talk about what this is for this team. And the only thing that I can look at with this LSU basketball team and then apply it to what I think the program is moving towards is that I think Matt McMahon's doing a pretty good job. He's taken a program that won 2 games in the league last year. They've already got 5, and they've got a real chance to win 7, 8, 9 games in the league. And that is all I ask for at Thanksgiving. I want this team to improve as the season goes on. They have. That's impossible to dispute. They went to Syracuse, got murdered. They went to Houston to play Texas, got crushed. Kansas State came here, dusted LSU. LSU was not competitive with mediocre Power 5 teams before Christmas. Now, night in and night out, they're pretty competitive. Yeah, Tennessee got after them. Yeah, Bama got after them in Tuscaloosa. Yeah, they didn't compete with Auburn. Yeah, the top 15 teams in the country on the road, sometimes they may get away. But there's another top 15 team you played on the road, and you did hold your own. They're getting better. I just can't apply it to next year with players because in this era, it's impossible to do. But Matt McMahon has built a roster that is improving, and they did this one on Saturday without Will Baker being the guy that he's been for the last month. Baker was only 1 of 6 from the floor with 2 points. He's been an 18, 19-point machine for 3 weeks. But other guys picked up the slack. Didn't have Jalen Cook. Didn't need him. I was impressed by the win. Made me happy. I'm sitting there at home watching. And no, I don't think they're going to the NCAA tournament. Yes, I think they can make the NIT. And that's not ultimately the discussion we want to be having. But you can go back and run the tape. Right before Thanksgiving when they were starting up, I said, look, just get better. Just post a respectable SEC mark. I looked at the roster. I didn't see an NCAA tournament team. I didn't see a team that was going to compete for the Southeastern Conference, and they're not. But they're getting better, and it was going to be a build from where they were. And so I'm encouraged by that win. Let's see what they can do on Wednesday. Should be a good environment in the PMAC. You're coming off that win. Kentucky had a monster win on Saturday, one of the 3 best wins in college basketball this year, winning at Auburn and controlling the game. They're going to travel. There will be some blue in the building on Wednesday. I'll be there. Can't wait. Should be a good environment. I don't know if LSU can play with them or not, but we'll find out. But it doesn't take away from the fact that was a really nice win on Saturday. LSU beat South Carolina by 64-63 for their 5th SEC win of the season. All right, we got Saints talk to get to. What are they do in free agency? I'll tell you next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
We had some breakfast with friends on Saturday morning, and he said, look, I'm in this contract with my alarm company. Can't get out of it. Can't get a hold of the guy. It's awful. So I started calling Mitchell Fisher at AVSS. He's actually come out and helped me a couple of times. Whenever this contract ends, he's my guy. That's the beauty of having a local company whose owner is so accessible like Mitchell is. I've got his cell number, and I give it to you a couple days a week. 225-439-7920. Mitchell Fisher, the owner at Audio Video Security Solutions. They can handle your home entertainment system with mounting your television, getting you wired for surround sound, music throughout the house, all controlled by your phone. That's all well and good. They can also do security systems. They're going to do mine in the new house here coming up in a couple of weeks. So give our friends at Audio Video Security Solutions a look. On Instagram, they're at AVSS_BR. And online, they're at avssla.com. Audio Video Security Solutions, avssla.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Happy New Year from your friends at Front to Back Boat Service. And what better way to kick off your new year than by taking your boat to the next level? Get the boat of your dreams, and that's where Front to Back comes into play. You want that spot lock trolling motor that's going to keep you right there on the water where you need to be. How about some forward-facing sonar that actually shows you the fish before you even cast? Custom stereo jobs, all of it. Sherman family's been doing it for 38 years. Go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel.
On Tuesday's OTB, we'll recap a little LSU baseball, plus Coach Kim Mulkey stops by to talk basketball. We'll look forward to the Pelicans' final push and a brand new OTB mailbag. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Clean first inning for freshman Cade Anderson. He sets Central Arkansas up and down in order, and LSU is already pouncing on the back end of the Central Arkansas pitching staff. Some teams not meant to play 4 games in 4 days, as Central Arkansas's starter has only recorded 1 out. LSU's got the bases loaded, and 2 runs are already in. So the Tigers jumping on things early out there at the box. If you want to listen to LSU baseball, you can certainly do so on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. The Saints have moved into their offseason, and there are some decisions that have to be made within the organization regarding some free agents of the guys that were on their teams. For the purpose of this exercise, we're not necessarily going to talk about the entirety of the free agent market. We're just going to talk about guys that were under contract for the Saints this year that they have to decide whether or not will be back with New Orleans. And there are a couple on this list that I think the Saints need to keep around, and there are a couple that I think need to move on or will move on. And I'll talk about both of those. As far as the keeps, the Saints need to prioritize Andrus Peat. I know that's been controversial at times throughout his career, but the fact of the matter is that you've got a right tackle who hasn't decided if he can continue his football career, and a left tackle that you don't believe is a left tackle, and that's Trevor Penning is obviously who I'm talking about. So unless you've got someone in mind that you can go grab in free agency that is not Andrus Peat, that you think is an upgrade at an affordable price, you've got to decide that Andrus Peat is at least on your roster next year. I don't know if having Andrus Peat at left tackle is necessarily a ticket to the all-pro team for your left tackle, but it's certainly more functional than Trevor Penning right now. And you've got to bring in a new offensive line coach to try to guide Trevor Penning along and see what you can get out of him. But right now, I think the odds are the Saints' left tackle next year is Andrus Peat. That's what it feels like. So I think it's vital that the Saints prioritize him and make him a part of the plans. If you want to try to bring Trevor Penning along, that's fine. Right now, I think Pete's got to be the guy. And another guy that's a veteran at this point in his career, he's 27 years old, that I think is got to be a part of this is Isaac Yiadom. He was third rounder out of Boston College back in 2018. He spent time with Denver, the Giants, the Packers, the Texans, and the Saints signed him mid-year in 2022 and brought him back for this past season. And I think that's a guy that can absolutely help you in the secondary. There's a world where the Saints decide to trade Marshawn Lattimore. And in that world, you've got to have some depth to back up Paulson Adebo and to back up Alontae Taylor and to play in the slot, play the nickel, help on special teams. And I think Yiadom has proven himself to be a guy who can absolutely do that. Is he your number one corner? He's not. He's never been that in his NFL career. But there's a reason why he continues to hang around the league, and it's because it's productive. And there's a reason why the Saints brought him back. And you can pay him very little, veteran minimum for him, and add depth to that secondary. Now, maybe Lattimore isn't moved on from. We're exploring all these options because that's what the Saints have to do. I think the Saints have to get younger and cheaper at a lot of different positions. And if you can do that by getting some assets for Marshawn Lattimore and need proven pros, you can elevate Alontae Taylor and have Paulson Adebo be your number one corner. I don't think he's as good as Lattimore, but I don't think it's a huge step down, especially considering Lattimore's injury history of late. So that's an option, and I think one that the Saints need to look into. Those are guys that I'd like to see him keep, and there are more, but those are guys I'd like to see them keep. As far as guys they need to move on from, I think Zach Bond is absolutely in that category. He may become a really impactful player in his NFL career, but it's not going to be in Dennis Allen's defense. I think we've proven that Zach Bond is not utilized in a way that best suits him in this Dennis Allen defense because he hasn't been productive at all, really. He's never had a season where he posted more than 30 tackles. His high is 30. He did that this past season and then 2 years ago in 2021. In 4 years, he's got 2 sacks. We all kind of agree that he's a pretty good pass rusher. He's not used in that way. And he's got 6 tackles for loss. I don't think Zach Bond is a guy that should be cut, and I don't think he's bordering on a Pro Bowler. But I also don't think he fits into what the Saints want to do on defense. And that's fine. Like, you have an identity. You have what you want to be. You drafted this guy. You don't love his skill set. And I just don't think it works. I think both teams can better their situation. I think the Saints can get better at that linebacker spot for what Dennis Allen wants. And I think Zach Bond can be utilized differently in a different spot that brings out the best in him. So I think that's a guy that they're going to move on from. And then I think this one's obvious. This is not really a hot take or some sort of revolutionary thing I discovered in the stats, but I think Jimmy Graham's time is done. I think he's made that clear. I think the interesting piece is what Jimmy Graham wants to do now instead of play football. Beck, are you aware of what Jimmy Graham's next foray in life is going to be?
Yes, I did see recently what he apparently is going to do.
What is that?
He's going to swim to across the Arctic Ocean, I think, or sail perhaps?
So no, he wants to sail the circumference of the globe.
Yeah, but I think the Arctic Ocean is next.
Yeah, like he wants to sail the entirety of the oceans. It's like, so, hey, if that's what you want to do instead of trying to be a red zone touchdown threat this late in your life, yeah, I'm all for it. But I think that Jimmy Graham's time is done. That little segment was less so about strategic X's and O's in footballs and more about, hey, this guy wants to do something that a lot of people don't have any interest in.
Yeah,
doing, but
apparently he's going to row across the Arctic Ocean.
Just a lot of water games for Jimmy.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of boat are we talking about sailing on? Like, are we doing this on, like, some sort of catamaran deal that's, like, dealing with the elements? Or are we, like, pulling out the wallet and going heavy with, some sort of yacht type?
It looks like it's going to be a pretty complex deal. Not only that as well, but he also has a pilot's license, and he's
Jimmy
certified.
Graham, Renaissance man.
Yeah, he's certified for complex airplane, multi-engine airplane, seaplane. He basically can fly anything that has wings on it or a propeller. And he's going to be participating in the Arctic Challenge, is what they're calling it. It's something that people do. It seems they try to do it every year. And it's going to be rowing 1,000 kilometers across the Arctic Ocean.
So Jimmy Graham is all of these things: collegiate basketball player, all-pro tight end, licensed pilot, rowing guy, crew team member. I don't know how you would even say
I'm not
about
sure,
that.
but it's a 4-person boat.
I can't do anything. All I do is sit here and yap about sports. He's accomplished all this kind of stuff, and he's 6'7", which is also cool. That's a life. Well, he's not even halfway done with his life, but it's an impressive amount of resume ticks at this point in his life, and Saints didn't use him a lot this year, but that I don't think was a huge surprise to me. Those are some thoughts. We'll have more on the Saints and free agency as we move forward. There are a lot of decisions that have to be made. The Saints are going to have to spring into some cap gymnastics here pretty quickly. And then the Combine comes up next week, and that's when a lot of dominoes started falling last year with the Combine and where things were going to end up, and that was what triggered Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets and all that kind of stuff. So there will be more Saints news moving forward. We'll chat with Luke coming up on Thursday about some more Saints things, and I may lob some free agent thoughts at him from here and there if the mood strikes me. LSU leads Central Arkansas 3-0 over at the box. They're playing in the top of the second. We'll take a timeout. Come back with some more. It's a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hi everyone, it's Justin. A little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit is the fluffy egg, the melted cheese, and the sizzling sausage. It's the start to your morning that you didn't know you need.
Order a sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit and Simply Orange Juice on the Chick-fil-A app. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
On Tuesday's OTB, we'll recap a little LSU baseball, plus Coach Kim Mulkey stops by to talk basketball. We'll look forward to the Pelicans' final push and a brand new OTB mailbag. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I'm laughing a little bit because you got to think Central Arkansas. They've been here for 4 days, and everybody's pitching's a little bit taxed at this point. They're playing 4 games in 4 days, and it's a lot. Central Arkansas is down towards the bottom of their pitching staff. And LSU just taught a freshman out there who hadn't pitched at all, and he's throwing 95 miles an hour with the good breaking ball. Cade Anderson has gotten through 2 innings unscathed. It's 3-0 Tigers over there at the box. Anderson, I was just watching there in the break, looks pretty good. So exciting start for the young freshman at the box. Beck, I'll bend your ear on this one because a lot of the national sports talk today has centered around the NBA All-Star Game, which, I mean, the winning team had, 211 points?
Yes.
So I didn't watch it.
I did watch some of it.
I saw the highlights. I see that they're not even making any effort to play any defense. They're shooting from half court. It's a laughable product. And everyone's really cranky about it. And Larry Bird said that the guys need to play hard in the All-Star game. and the ESPN's running crawls, like how do they fix the All-Star game and all that kind of stuff. We've already seen the Pro Bowl go away to a flag football game and all that kind of stuff. And I understand the thought process. Sports at their core, it's just entertainment. We're here to be entertained. And when you start to do something that's not entertaining, that we can leave. And that can be detrimental to the sport as a whole. Like, I get it. And I understand that they get cranky in the NBA when guys rest because folks are spending a lot of money on tickets and they're spending a lot of money on their cable packages to buy the game. And when they go to a game or they watch the game, they expect to see the stars that they signed up to see. And when they don't, it's a worse product and they're capable of leaving, and that hurts the league. And I understand all of those things. I just don't care. In my sports viewing brain, I'm trying to win the championship. So if I buy a ticket to Wrigley Field, the Cubs' best player is Dansby Swanson. And Dansby gets a day off because they think that's advantageous for him as you move through the season. Like, those are the breaks. I'll watch Chris Morrell try to play shortstop. Like, I'll be fine because I want what's best for winning a championship. And I don't have a dog in the fight in the NBA, but we'll just bring it home. If Zion Williamson goes to play in the All-Star game and they're playing really, really hard, and he's going one-on-one against Jokic or Giannis, and they're going back and forth, like, that would be really cool to watch. But also, it's not the pros and cons, and the risk-reward is worse if he does that and blows his knee out playing in the All-Star game that doesn't count for my team. I care more about my team than I do the All-Star game. I don't need it. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. I do think, though, this All-Star game in particular was even worse than normal because it was a blowout the entire game. And usually when the game is pretty close, in the last 5 or 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, they actually turn it up a little bit, play a little defense, and it's not just guys jacking up threes from 40 feet. So this one was even worse than normal. And obviously, if that happens every year, it's like, okay, what are we doing here? It's cool. They do some cool dunks every now and then. Nobody's really trying. But I do agree, though, if you want the All-Star game to be something serious, it has to have meaning, and I don't think there's any way they can really try to put meaning to this game.
I mean, Major League Baseball tried with home field advantage, which was hokey and goofy and ended up not sticking. That came from the tie they infamously had because they ran out of pitching and so they were like, well, we got to make this matter, so we'll do it for. And trust me, that got me watching because the Cubs were pretty good at that point. It was before they got over the hump. But in 08-09, they were a good team, and I was interested in potentially them getting home field advantage in the playoffs. Turns out they never won a playoff game. They got swept back-to-back years. But it got me watching, and I cared more. And I understand it would be in a vacuum very, very cool to watch LeBron James and Giannis and Jokic and Steph Curry and Dame Lillard and all these guys, Luka, play as hard as they could play for a game. That'd be cool to watch in a vacuum. We're not in a vacuum. These guys make a lot of money to go try to win a championship, which is cooler than 2 hours on a random February Sunday. I understand that it would be cool. I just don't need it.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever gonna change. They're always gonna play the All-Star game because the guys don't really risk that much injury. I don't think it's gonna go the way of the Pro Bowl where they don't actually play a game because it's not like they're tackling each other. They're just running around. Maybe a guy sprains an ankle, but that's not gonna happen. So I also think that the All-Star game if you go back, it really turned when Kobe Bryant. I don't remember what year it was, but Kobe Bryant got hurt in the All-Star game one year, and I don't know that I can't remember how many games he missed, but after that game, especially with a high-profile player like Kobe, the guys after that, it was like, all right, we're taking it easy now. So that's just what it is. I mean, you have to accept it. I know people can be upset about it, but it's just what the All-Star game is now, and that's just how it's going to be.
And I think there are a lot of people that are listening that despise the fact that players sit out of bowl games to get ready for the draft, and they despise the fact that the NBA players don't play 82 games like Jordan did, and they despise the fact that they won't try in an All-Star game, and you should go pedal to the metal and give everything you got all the time, and that's the way it should be. And it's a nice story, and there is a modicum of truth in things were better once upon a time when folks did things this way. But I'll just be really candid with you. If my best player gets hurt in the freaking All-Star game, I'm not going to be in a pretty good mood about it. No. You could say they could get in a wreck and get hurt, go into the game, well, I have to take that chance.
Yeah.
They got to get to the game. I don't have to take this chance.
Yeah.
Let's do the 3-point thing and come up with the dunk contest is fine. And if you want to find some sort of skills competition or something you want to rig up to do some sort of celebration you can sell tickets to, whatever, that's fine. But, like, if I'm a Pelicans fan, I'm perfectly fine with Zion Williamson sitting out twice a month when he's perfectly healthy because he gets hurt a lot. And, like, if we can minimize that risk to try to win games and do something meaningful, and the whole reason we play this, we don't play the NBA for the All-Star game. We play to win a championship. Like, that's the way I'm wired. And that's just – I realize that you could lose the casual fan that way, and that's detrimental to the whole thing, but I'm just not willing to take some risks. And if they want to go out there and shoot from half court and throw up a bunch of threes, like, maybe that's good for some people, and you sign some autographs after the game and give the jerseys away for charity. Like, I don't know, but I don't care about the All-Star game going 211 to 180 something.
Yeah, I think also if there are fans out there that they want them to play hard. If you're a fan of a team and you're saying I want these guys to play hard, well, let's just say for instance that a player on your team is in the All-Star game and he tears his ACL in the All-Star game, he's out for the rest of the season. I don't think you're going to be singing that same tune after that. So it's all perspective.
So I'm looking. Didn't Edwin Diaz tear his UCL in the World Baseball Classic?
I think so, but I'm not sure. You have to look.
I'm going to look. Yeah, he closed out Puerto Rico's big win. He hurt his knee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now I can see it in my brain. I remember that he got hurt and I forgot what it was. But, like, man, the Mets were all geared up to try to win something big last year. They had a monster payroll. They had Scherzer and DeGrom, like they had Verlander, and they went and got Lindor, and they were like loaded for bear with Alonso. And Diaz is the best closer in baseball. And they went to play in the World Baseball Classic, which I like, but, like, Edwin Diaz got hurt in a meaningless baseball game. And again, it's very, very cool that the World Baseball Classic came down to Shohei Ohtani against Mike Trout. Like, that's the point of the entire thing. And that is a cool thing. But I'm sorry, as a Mets fan, like, you helped wreck my season because we tried to do this.
Yep.
And there is another side to this. It's not as if no one's ever gotten hurt doing these things. You mentioned Kobe. Didn't Breeze get hurt in the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, I think so. I remember one year he did.
I realize there's inherent risk in everything, but I don't care about the NBA All-Star game. I'll watch the MLB All-Star game, and they play as hard as anybody because it's a non-contact sport, and so that's a better product. But the fact of the matter is that I watch these sports to win championships. I'm looking through the lens with LSU of how do we win. And playing in an exhibition, it doesn't really help that much. So it's just, I just thought everybody's going nuts and gnashing their teeth and saying, man, this whole thing is broken. And it's like, is it that important? Like, June's important in the NBA.
Yeah.
That's the bigger deal here. So, all right, LSU leads 3-0 over Central Arkansas over at the box. It's the top of the third inning. Cade Anderson back out for his third inning of work. Tiger freshman just fired a pickoff throw down into the bullpen, so that's not ideal. But he's gotten off to a good start, and LSU's offense has put a few runs on the board. If you missed this incidentally earlier today, D1 Baseball came out with their rankings. LSU number 3 in the country in the first in-season portion of those rankings from the folks over at D1 Baseball. Our Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com, GCOPnet.com. For all your printing, scanning, copying needs, Gulf Coast Office Products. I tell you this every single week because this is the way Trey Bill has kind of described it to us. You can do business with the local mom and pop shop in any line of work that you do, and you're going to have a great relationship and great service, but do they have all the capabilities needed to service your business? Or you can work with a big multinational company that you're just a number on the line, but they got all the bells and whistles you could possibly want. Well, neither one of those is perfect, but Trey Bill and the folks over at Gulf Coast Office Products, they've got all the capabilities to help you. They've got branches throughout the state of Louisiana. They've got in-house folks that can come out and repair and service your copier or printer whenever it does go down. And they've got extra ones right here, $1 million worth if you need them in a pinch. Plus, you got a great relationship because they're not some global multinational company. They're throughout the region, but they're right here in the state of Louisiana. They can help you. Big enough to handle any business, small enough you're going to get that relationship feel. That's the folks over at Gulf Coast Office Products. Hit them up at GCOPnet.com. We'll take a timeout, come back, and close things up on a Monday. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Maybe it's not a full-scale renovation of your home. They can do that, but it doesn't have to be that complex. It can be something as simple as a tub-to-shower conversion. You never use your tub at home. You don't have 2-year-old Myers-Palmer who's a tear in the bathtub every single night. You don't have to deal with that. Well, take it out. Put in a gorgeous glass walk-in shower. It changes the aesthetic of your home. It changes the functionality in your bathroom, and it adds value to your home as well. David Dwell and his team do things like that all the time. And if you're worried about paying for it, they've got financing options available over there at One Bath and Closets. The website is onebathandclosets.com. Get that free consultation today at onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The best kept secret in town is out.
On Tuesday's OTB, we'll recap a little LSU baseball, plus Coach Kim Mulkey stops by to talk basketball. We'll look forward to the Pelicans' final push and a brand new OTB mailbag. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
The Hunt Palmer Show. This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Central Arkansas on the board. Wild pitch chases home a run for, I think, the Lions? Maybe the Bears. Bears. Wrong NFC North team there. Central Arkansas Bears. LSU got up to a 3-0 lead in the first. Cade Anderson is still working. He's 2 2/3 innings into his first appearance as an LSU Tiger. And got a strikeout to end the third there. So impressive stuff from the youngster. He looks very, very good, I must say. I'll talk about him a little bit more on tomorrow's show. We'll recap this one. LSU's back in action on Thursday, coming up this weekend at the Box. Well, matinee on this Monday. Kind of screws up our flow a little bit talking baseball, but we did a lot of that in the first hour of the show. A little bit basketball in the second hour. We'll close things up now with some Take It or Leave It back.
All right, first one here. The Chicago Cubs are reportedly waiting on Cody Bellinger, and full-blown negotiations have yet to take place, according to Cubs owner Tom Ricketts. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I think I'll take it. What it feels like is that Scott Boras has a number, and no one's coming to it.
Yeah.
And because if they had, he'd be signed. So the Cubs are banking on the fact that Boras is going to come down. The Cubs have never signed a Boras client. Like, it's never happened. So we'll see how this goes, but I'm hopeful that they can get Bellinger, because right now they're not as good as they need to be. And the Brewers intentionally tanked this season by trading away their best pitcher, and their second best pitcher had Tommy John. So you got a real opportunity. They need to get Cody Bellinger into Chicago somehow, some way, and it feels like they're trying to do it on a little bit of a discount, which I don't like because it's just money, but they better make it happen.
Hideki Matsuyama put on a ball-striking clinic yesterday at the Genesis, firing a 9-under-62 to win the tournament by 3 strokes. Matsuyama will win another major in the next few years. Take it or leave it.
Probably leave it. Hard to win majors. He did get his one there at Augusta, and you kind of always thought that he would win potentially U.S. Open because he's such a great ball striker, but he's never been a very good putter. It didn't matter how good he putted in Augusta because he knocked down the flag sticks for 2 days on the weekend. He's really good, and he helped me out a lot because that was a very, very big purse in fantasy golf. And if we would have had somebody win that one, they would have kind of gotten away from us a little bit. Nobody had Matsuyama, so my Sam Burns pick when he slid in there at like 15th or whatever it was just fine. He made like $400K. That's good for the fantasy golf folks. I know personally that most of the listeners of the Hunt Palmer Show tune in to get my fantasy golf updates.
Yes,
weekly,
absolutely.
bi-weekly, basically. Mm-hmm. So you just got it. That was you waited an hour and 51 minutes, and it just showed up there. So congrats to you, the listener. You got your fantasy golf fix.
All right, last one here. LA Angels star Mike Trout says he's committed to the Angels for the long haul. With his current contract running until 2030, he'll be 38 at the end of that contract. He has a no-trade clause. Trout has wasted his career with the Angels. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I was going to leave it, but I don't know that there's another way to put it. He's on the back end of his prime now, and they never make the playoffs. And that is... Well, it's not a waste in the sense that we did get to see him. It'd be a waste if he, got in a bad car accident and couldn't play again. Like, that'd be, man, that's just awful. And I hate to say that. That's like a mean thing to say. But, like, we've seen him is the point.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen his brilliance. We just haven't seen it in October because the Angels have been awful. And it's hard for me to, like, totally throw shade on the Angels because they spent a bunch of money on Ohtani and they went and got Rendon. And, like, they've, like, tried. They just suck at trying. So he's never even really been in a pennant race at this point. I think he played in one playoff series and it didn't go very well. So that's a bummer. He's one of the 15 greatest players ever, probably, and most people have never seen him play. I did get to see him in Houston. I don't even think he got a hit. But they got Pujols too.
Yeah,
they spent some money, even though Pujols was at the very end of his career. They just couldn't get anything around him that amounted to anything. So it stinks. And now they don't have Ohtani, so it's conceivably going to be worse. That's it for Take It or Leave It. A big show coming up tomorrow. I'm attempting to get into a groove with who's where coming up with our baseball season, but that hasn't changed from tomorrow's show. We're gonna have Glenn West and Sharif Ishak coming up tomorrow. Our baseball exclusive guest Koki Riley's gonna be with us on Wednesdays, so he'll be with us Wednesday to talk baseball. If you don't know Koki, he's covering the team for The Advocate, so you can check him out on Twitter. And we'll have Koki coming up on Wednesdays. We'll have Joe Healy on Thursdays talking some baseball at 1:30. He's, of course, with the D1 Extra crew over there at the SEC Extra crew of D1 Baseball. He's on Thursdays. And Chris Demui coming up on Fridays. So your baseball guests, Koki on Wednesday, Healy on Thursday, Demui on Friday. The back end of the week going to be where we have most of our baseball guests. Glenn will talk baseball with us tomorrow for sure, but we'll also talk LSU basketball as they got that big win over South Carolina with Kentucky coming up So we'll talk about that with Glenn coming up on Tuesday. If you're looking for a score update from the box, LSU leads 4-1. I think somebody must have hit a homer to lead off the third inning. I didn't see it because I was talking to you. The Tigers lead 4-1 over Central Arkansas. You can listen to that game on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Chris Blair on the call for that businessman special over there at the box. If you missed any of our show today, you can catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and of course on YouTube. Wherever you find your sound, you can find us. Search Hunt Palmer Show, like, subscribe, rate, review. That helps us a lot. The first hour was heavy on baseball. LSU started at 3-0 and off to a good start today. I gave some of the things that I really liked. Started with the catcher position. Certainly liked what Stephen Milam and Luke Holman gave. Jake Brown as well. I didn't get to Fidel Ulloa, who I really enjoyed watching pitch on Sunday as well. And all that was in the first 30 minutes of the show, and then kind of previewed today's game, which will be a little bit dated, but at the time it was relevant as LSU started today at 2:30, so you can go back and catch all of that. The second hour is where you can find our football. Had our Saints segment on some free agency thoughts that I have on the black and gold. Catch that on YouTube at Hunt on Saints. And LSU has a chance to land the number one interior offensive lineman in the country to go with this star-studded 2015 class. And that was a segment you can hear at Hunt on LSU on YouTube, our LSU YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to those channels, please do. Opened up hour number 2 talking about LSU basketball. Big win over South Carolina. They'll have the Big Blue Nation coming in for a late tip on Wednesday, an 8 o'clock game over the PMAC. So get your tickets. They are available, and LSU could certainly use you out there. They've got a tough Kentucky offense coming to town on Wednesday. All right, that's it for us today. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. He'll talk a little bit of LSU baseball, I am sure, some LSU basketball, I am sure, some Saints, I am sure, and whatever else he can get into while LSU's playing basketball. Not great for the afternoon run here on 104.5 ESPN, but we'll make the best of it here through the month of February. Have a great Monday. We're back same time, same place tomorrow on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a trusted media partner in Louisiana for nearly a century. Claim your free digital audit at guaranteemedia.com.
Join MMR and ignite your career today. MMR is the largest electrical and instrumentation contractor in the nation, and they're seeking talented individuals to join their team. For over 3 decades, they've been headquartered right here in Baton Rouge, and they have offices all around the globe.
And MMR offers a tailored path for both professional and personal development, outstanding benefits, and a dynamic culture. So whether you're an intern, a seasoned pro, or you're just starting out, see what MMR can offer you. Apply at mmrgrp.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys,